USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
I want you to do me a favor. Sit back. Close your eyes. Really, close your eyes. And think of a time where you were super hot. You were outside, maybe on a beach. You were working, maybe you were in a hot car. Maybe you were in an attic. And it was scorching hot. And you're sweating like crazy. Sweat's pouring down your face. You can feel it all over your body. You're so thirsty, your tongue feels like it's just going to dry up and fall out of your mouth. Terrible feeling. But remember what it felt like when you got to the kitchen or the water cooler or the beer and you quenched your thirst. What did it feel like? When you tilted your head back and you felt that cold liquid going down your throat. And that thirst dissipating. It's almost ecstasy. It's an unbelievable feeling. So today, what we're going to talk about is the link between pleasure and pain. Because a lot of times, in order to experience the pleasure, you have to feel the pain. I'm Justin Mirigliani. This is You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul on USA Global TV and Radio. Great to have you here as we do every week on Monday nights, 8 a.m. Let me try that again. 8 p.m. to 8:40. So it's great to have you here. Hopefully you'll chat in and join in. But I can remember that feeling many, many, many times in my life when I played hockey or when I was in the gym and I was just working out like crazy, and the ecstasy of getting to that water cooler, not being able to, hold back, just running for it. Or when I played hockey, getting into the locker room and grabbing that bottle and pouring the water down my throat. And for some people, it's beer, right? People talk all the time about a cold beer on a hot day. I remember a friend of mine used to clean pools, and he loved beer, and he would clean the pools all day. And then at the end of the day, after he was soaking wet from heat and tired and thirsty, that's when he would crack open a beer. And he said it was every day that was the best beer he ever had, because it was right after he had gone through the pain of being thirsty and being hot. And I think that's a lot of things. Another one that I remember is the best sleep I ever had, the sleep that's most restful and the sleep that makes me most re-energized, is the sleep that I have when I fell asleep because I was exhausted. Where one time in I guess this was 2007, I went through a spell of insomnia where I literally could not sleep. And I didn't sleep for 4 consecutive nights. Now, maybe I would doze off for 20 minutes. I don't remember. But by and large, I did not sleep for 4 days, which was I can't even tell you how disorienting that is. And I worked those days. And I remember the pain of it. It was very painful. It was painful physically, but also mentally, emotionally. It started to go in and out as far as not hallucinations, but not being able to concentrate, not being able to distinguish what was real, what was not, what was a dream or what was a daydream. The worst part was driving at that time when I was training, computer training, corporate training. There really wasn't an opportunity to train remotely. So I had to drive from South Jersey to North Jersey. And I hit the rumble strips. I cannot count how many times I hit the rumble strips because I was literally falling asleep at the wheel. I could not keep my eyes open. And I didn't have the time or the luxury to say, well, you know what, I'll just pull over and take a little nap and then I'll drive. I had to be there at a certain time. And when you're the instructor for the class, it's not like you could jump in a little bit late. That class only starts if you're there. And that was painful. But I will say this, when I got to the weekend and I had time to kind of unwind a little bit and the insomnia was kind of dissipating, the sleep was unbelievable because it was an incredible release. It was an incredible reversal of what I was going through. I don't know if I've ever slept like that before or since. I really question people when they say things like, I love pain. That's kind of like a tough guy thing that people say, I love pain. Well, if people really love pain, they would hurt themselves. They would put their hand on a hot stove and leave it there, right? Because if you like it, why wouldn't you keep doing it? So I don't buy that whole thing about liking pain. Now, I do think that some people can tolerate more pain than others, and that's fine. And I can tolerate a decent amount of pain. I was a hockey player, and just today I had a medical procedure that was really, really painful, and I'm in pain now. My neck is killing me. My head is hurting, but it's, I shouldn't say killing me, but it hurts. Um, but if you ask me, would I be happy to go through this? No. I mean, why would I enjoy that? I don't like it. But tolerance is different than enjoying. Now, as I said, I don't like the pain, but it does feel good when I put some cold ice packs on it and take some Tylenol and that pain goes away or at least dulls. And it's not to the point where I'm really struggling to sit or struggling to lay down. It's much better. And it feels good because I was in pain and now I'm in less pain. Another one that I can remember really distinctly was I had, and anybody who's watched the show before knows, I'm an ostomy patient. I have an ileostomy. And this is probably about maybe 10 years ago. I don't know. It was several years ago. I had a pain in where my stoma is that was just absolutely, you could not breathe, or I could not breathe. It was that painful. And again, I could tolerate a decent amount of pain. I had a kidney stone one time, and I mean, I was running around the room trying to get relief, jumping in the shower, trying anything I could to resolve that pain. And I lasted for a while. And then finally, I could go to the emergency room. But this one was different. This one was really, really hard. I couldn't really fight through it. And I knew there was something wrong. So I went to the hospital and morphine didn't work. I was laying on the bed in the emergency room and I'm thinking to myself, are they going to have to do surgery? I mean, this seems like it's not going to resolve. And I couldn't sleep. I couldn't turn over. I was just, every position I was in, just my body was screaming. My stomach was just absolutely killing me. And this went on for hours. And I was worried. What's going to happen? Is this something that can be fixed? Is it something that can't? Am I going to need more surgery? And then all of a sudden, I don't know why it took so long, but the surgeon came in And he said, do me a favor. He said, I want you to lay on that table flat. Don't tense your stomach at all. Just stay nice and loose. I said, okay. He put his fingers somewhere on my stoma and he just jammed his hands real hard into the stoma and pain turned off. What happened was I have a hernia and the hernia was getting strangulated. So the hernia popped out and then it got stuck. So he knew, obviously, that if he could push that back in, it was going to immediately resolve the pain. And when I tell you, it went from I can't stand this scoring thing. Is it a 2? Is it a 5? Is it a 10? I don't know. I mean, it's very difficult to give it a number, but that one that's up there. That was probably a 10. That one got me in the hospital. To me, it's not a 10 until I'm in the hospital. If I'm in the hospital, then there's a good chance it's a 10, at least a 9. But so I went from excruciating pain to virtually, actually, I shouldn't even say virtually. It was no pain. It went from, oh my God, somebody kill me, to wow. And I said, how in the world did you do that? And he said, well, I'm a surgeon. But sure, I would not want to go through that again. I certainly don't look back on that and say, whoa, that was a great day. I loved it. But there was an ecstasy to going from being drenched in sweat from pain to the deep breath of being able to say, ah, oh, the relief, no longer in pain. You know, it's over. And that felt good. And then I was on a high. You know, I was able to eat and I was able to relax and watch TV and feel good. And also the relief of knowing that I wasn't going to have to undergo any surgery. It wasn't going to have to be through more. You know, that was also a great feeling. You know, mentally, there's mental pain, of course. We talk about that a lot on this show. The pain of fear, the pain of not knowing answers. I'm the kind of person who loves answers. You know, I go to a doctor and they look at a growth or, you know, whatever it might be. Or they you know, maybe look in my ear or look down my throat and they say, well, you know, this thing, it's probably okay. You know, I really wouldn't worry about it, but, you know, I can't tell you 100% for sure that it's okay. I hate that. I hate it. It just drives me crazy because I need to know that it's 100% okay. And sometimes there's no answer to that. I had a little bit of a issue with the tip of my finger. There was a growth on it, and it looked kind of strange. It looked a little bit suspicious. So I took a picture of it, and because we have AI now, I was able to put it up in the chat GPT. And I said, you know, take a look at this. I know you're not a doctor, and I would never, ever, ever tell you to replace a doctor with artificial intelligence. That would be a terrible idea. But I wanted to get some sort of idea of what I was looking at. And artificial intelligence, chat GPT, said, it looks like a blood blister. And I wrote, well, how could it be a blood blister? I don't remember having any trauma. I don't remember pinching it. I don't remember hurting it in any way, shape, or form. And it said, well, most of the time when you get a blood blister, you don't know what you did. It just happens and you find it when you look at it. And of course, me being me, I typed in things like, well, how do I know it's not melanoma? And chat GPT said, well, tell me some of your symptoms. And I said, well, you know, I don't really have symptoms. It's just there. You know, it's not painful. It's not itchy. It's not anything. It's just, I look at it, I see it. And based on the picture that I uploaded and based on the information that I gave chat GPT, it said, this looks just like a blood blister and I don't see any reason to be concerned. However, I can't tell you 100% that it's fine. Check it out for the next 2 or 3 weeks. If it stays the same or gets smaller, then you're fine. If it doesn't, or if it gets bigger and changes colors, then you want to go and have it checked. Well, my mind focused on the part that was not complete relief. Now, I wanted to know, don't worry about this. It's over. You don't have to think about it anymore. Now, I have OCD. I'm much better at it than I ever was before, but certainly it doesn't go away. I'm learning more about people who have this issue where it's a health related OCD where you need constant reassurance that everything is okay, that every color that you see on your body, every pain that you feel, every time you're tired and you can't explain why. If you lose weight, why did I lose weight? It's got to be something bad, and your mind just goes to the worst thing. But my point is, today I looked at it and it's almost gone. So it was right. It was a blood blister. That's all it was. And I'm not going to say that I was panicky over the last week because I wasn't. I wasn't panicky, but it was on my mind. Every time I would look at it, I would say, but what if, what if, what if? And is this going to be a problem? Am I going to need surgery? I mean, you go down the rabbit hole. And then today, it felt like a breath of fresh air to see it almost gone and know that, oh, don't worry about it. It's nothing. But without the worry, would I have felt the way I felt today? I felt energized because now I can let go of that fear and let go of that feeling of uncertainty. Now, again, I'm not saying that I like pain. I'm not saying that, boy, I hope I get another growth somewhere and gee, it would be great to redo this all over again. No, I'm not saying that at all. Or I'm not saying that I really hope that my hernia pops out and gets strangulated again so I can get that relief later. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if you have to take the pain, which you do, you don't have a choice, right? Then it's nice to know that there could be an upside to that. I don't know if you could experience ecstasy without experiencing, I don't want to say devastation, but certainly pain. I'm almost through a divorce. I've had breakups with girlfriends, relationships. I've had disappointments recently with dating where women seem interested, and we have a good date, have a great time, and they thank you or thank me and say, thank you for a great night, and it'd be great to see you again. And then all of a sudden it ends and they ghost you. Or a couple of them said, and I really appreciate this actually, they said, look, I don't think this is going to work. I'm too far the distance. And I don't know if that's the truth or not, but I'll take it for what it's worth. That, it's just the distance is too much or this and that. And, but no matter what, it's not an ego. Um, it's not a shot to the ego. It's more, oh, I got to start this all over again. And that, it's not easy. It's frustrating. But what that'll mean down the road is when the time is right and things work out with someone else, that will be amazing because I've gone through all the things that were tough, all the things that were disappointing. It makes the great thing, whatever that may be, in this case, a relationship, that much greater because you went through so much disappointment and so much. It's not pain. The divorce is pain. That's pain. Losing dates that you just met, that's not painful. It's just frustrating. But again, it's going to lead to something else down the road, and it's going to feel great. Last year at this time, my business wasn't doing well, and now there are several opportunities to turn it around. Not there yet. Not saying that everything's 100% comfortable now, but can I see that happening in the next couple months? Yes, I can. Companies, Friday night, I had an audition to train for a company, and it went really well. All they wanted was 15 minutes to see what I could do as a trainer, and went well. And I expect to hear from them this week. That's exciting. And then once everything's back to where it was before, when it's back to six figures and it's moving in the right direction, and then AI starts to grow and all that stuff, I'm going to look back and say, man, yeah, that stunk. The 3.5 years or so that things the bottom fell out. It was awful. And I look back on it and think, man, that was some of the worst times that I've ever had in my life. But at the same time, I'll be able to say, look where I am now. Business is back up. Maybe I won't be making millions of dollars. I won't. Maybe I won't even get to $200,000. But if I could get it back to where it was and have the potential for more growth later as artificial intelligence becomes more and more impactful, great. But I had to go through the tough stuff so I could, and then when I get the good stuff, it's going to feel really good. All because I knew what it was to struggle. And again, I keep saying this, but it's important. I'm not telling you that I would choose to go through that again. No, I'm not happy that I went through it. I don't look back and say, well, what a gift that was. People ask me that about myostomy. They say, isn't it a gift that you get to be an ostomy and you get to inspire people to go past things like an ostomy or other ailments or mental illness? Isn't it great? Isn't it a gift? No, I wouldn't say it's a gift. In all honesty, I don't look at it that way. I don't say, man, if I had a choice, would I be an ostomy? Would I have gone through 12 years of ulcerative colitis? Not all your life. Would I choose to have grown up with mental illness, with depression, anxiety, and OCD? No, I would not choose that. I didn't get a choice at all. These things were in the cards for me, and that's it. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't a decision. It wasn't bad luck. It was just the way it was supposed to be. But when you recover from those things and life is better again, you get to appreciate it more. It's sweeter because you knew how sour it was before. That makes a difference. Like I said, I don't have a choice, right? I have a choice how I am now, how I react to it. I don't have a choice about it happening. I can't change any of it. I couldn't, even when I was sick, I couldn't snap my fingers and say, hey, I'm going to just get rid of it. I'm not going to be sick anymore. It doesn't work that way. So the pain that we feel, it's not a gift. It's not something to celebrate. It's not something that's going to make you happy, for sure. But it's going to make the good times and the sweet things that much sweeter. And that's what you really want. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about more pain and the link that is between pleasure and pain. So if you want to chat in, please do. Got some chats already. So when we come back, I'll take a look at these. All right, everyone, enjoy this commercial. This is a very, very important commercial, one that really is near and dear to all of us.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Dementia has hit every single family. I shouldn't say every single family. Maybe that's going overboard, but it hits millions upon millions upon millions of families. And Tracy does a great job with that book. If you're in a position where you need to help somebody who has dementia, or you know somebody who is a family member, a friend of somebody who has dementia, that is definitely a book that you want to get. And is a guide to get you through really tough stuff. All right, so pleasure and pain. Joey Berlotti, my buddy from college. It's been a few years. So ever have a gout flare up? Holy crap, that hurts. I haven't had gout. Don't want it. Not looking forward to ever having it. But Joey, obviously you have gone through it, and Joey's a tough guy. He's one of those people, doesn't like pain, but when it comes, he's a warrior. So thanks, Joe, for checking in. I appreciate it. And Rob Thomas, my buddy with the weather. We do some weather forecasting together. It's a lot of fun. He's really, really knowledgeable. So it seems like you worry a lot. Yeah, Rob, I do. I will say this, much better than I was for most of my life. Much better. Got to know what we can control and what we can't. And that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm working on, is trying to decide that there's some things that are just out of my control and some things that are within my control. So I want to thank you both for joining in tonight. Hope other people will decide to do so. It's always good to have people as part of the show. I enjoy it. I remember, and this is going back 40 years ago, baseball players, when they would get hurt. I was a big baseball fan growing up. I was a sports fan in general, but baseball, hockey, and football were my favorites. And so in the wintertime, it was all hockey, and then in the summertime, it was all baseball. And I remember, I can't remember what team it was. It was the New York Mets. They were playing. I can't remember who they were playing, but I do remember the Mets, and I remember the player, Mookie Wilson. Mookie Wilson was not a Hall of Famer, but he was a decent player for the Mets, better than average. And he got hit with a pitch, I remember. I don't remember where. I think it might have been the leg. And he went down like he was shot. I mean, he looked like he was dying in pain. And the trainers rushed out, and they came over, and he's rubbing it. He's trying to walk it off. You could see his face. He's in agony. And the trainers pull out this spray, and I didn't know what it was at the time, but it was called Freeze. And they would spray that injured area with this really cold, I don't know what CO2, what, I don't know what it was exactly, but they would spray it, and it would make that area very cold. And then the pain would seemingly disappear. Well, it was an illusion. What that freeze did was made it hurt worse. When that freeze wore off, it went back to the pain that he had originally, which now felt much better, like it was a relief. So now when he's standing on the bases, running through first, second, third, and trying to run the bases, it feels like it's getting better. How you feeling, Mookie? Well, it's better. It feels better. It was terrible just a few minutes ago, but now seems to be maybe the spray worked. Well, the spray did work. It tricked his brain into thinking that it did something other than make it worse, so that when it gets back to as bad, it's not going to feel as bad. That's kind of like the placebo effect, right? You give somebody a sugar pill and tell them this is the greatest medication for headaches, and you'll never, it's going to go away within 5 minutes, and it does. Well, it's a sugar pill. So these are just things that our minds do. These are things that, the link again between pleasure and pain. But I have been in the gym in a while because of the car accident, but when I was working out hard, the hardest workouts were probably the ones where I would run up and down stairs with a weighted vest, or full hockey equipment and run up and down. They said there were 9 stairs. I would run in at my best. This is 2 years ago. I had the hockey equipment on, except for skates, obviously, all the other stuff. And I would run up the 9 stairs and down. That would be 1 rep. And I got 70 reps. And my body was already screaming at like 40. But I kept thinking of it in increments of 10. You're at 40, just do 10 more, you'll hit 50. And then you could stop. And then when I got to 50, I'm like, you got 10 more in you. I did 60. And then I said, come on, you could just push one more 10, one more set of 10. And I always remember getting to the bottom of the steps on the last one and the relief that I felt. Dropping to the floor and just laying there for a few minutes, maybe a minute or two. And then limping to the couch and just laying on the, just draped over the couch and just taking a breath and just saying, you did it. You did it. It's over now. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It's done. And then the grab, I'm a soda drinker. I try not to drink as much as I used to, but grab a Coke and that's just for me. I'm not a real beer guy, but soda, absolutely. I'll drink a beer once in a while. But I would drink the soda and it tasted so good. It would go right down. It would feel great. And the coolness and my body was sweaty and my legs would be jittery. I couldn't really stand well, because my legs were just fried. And that felt great. And even hours later, I'd still have a little bit of sweat and people might think, oh, that's disgusting. You stayed in the sweaty clothes. But yeah, I liked it because when I felt the sweat, it reminded me that you did it. You got through this and it was painful. And it really was something that took a lot of mental strength, but you still got it done. And I was disappointed on the days that I couldn't. And I really had trouble with that, and I'm better at it now. But if the next time, I'm sure I didn't get 70, and if I only got 50, I'm sure, knowing who I was, that I was probably pretty upset that I didn't make it. Every time I did something like that, I always wanted to be one better. So if I did 70 reps or sets, now I want to hit 80. And at some point, you just run out. You're just not physically able to do it anymore. I can't run a marathon. There's no way. I'm lucky I can run a mile. And I'm talking about 2 years ago when I was doing these steps. There are certain things that your body is able to do. And you would think, well, if you could do that, you could do this. Not necessarily. The way your body is made and the way you're wired, it can be totally different. You're not going to find a power lifter who could bench press 600 pounds, run a marathon. That's not going to happen. Somebody who's 320 pounds and built to lift, a building is not going to be able to run a marathon. Well, you're not going to get a marathon runner to lay down under 350, 400, 500 pounds and bench press. It's not going to happen. And then you have the rare people who just somehow are kind of good at both. They're not great at either one, but they're good. So you get somebody who could bench press 500 pounds and run a half marathon. That's a good mix. But the point is, I see people run marathons and I think to myself, how in the world can they do this? I can't even imagine there's no way. And then I see them when they get to the end of the marathon and the legs are rubbery. You can see the legs are going. I know what they're feeling. They're feeling the burn. I know what the burn feels like. And I could see it in their eyes like, oh man, how many more steps? How many more steps? Just take one more. And then all of a sudden you're almost at the finish line. And then they fall down and collapse right at the finish line. Sometimes. Some people just go through it, but every one of them though eventually just is gassed, and they'll run through it, and they'll a lot of times lean on to somebody, one of the spectators or maybe a family member or friend, and just drape themselves on that person. That person holds them up because they got nothing left. It's done. Guarantee if they had another mile to go though, they would do it. It's incredible how when you're almost there, you have the energy to push, but once you get there, it drops. But that's the pain pleasure thing. It hurts like hell to run a marathon. Your lungs burn, your legs burn. And again, I don't know this from experience, but I know it from people who've done it. And I hear friends say, well, I run 10 miles. I can barely drive 10 miles, let alone run it. There's no way I could ever run 10 miles. But they run 10 miles. And I'm sure when they get home, they have pain. Knees are sore, burning, lungs are burning, but makes it all sweeter when you sit down to breakfast after doing that and say, you know what, I accomplished that. It was hard. I did it. These pancakes taste a lot better than they would have if I didn't do it. Then as we're ready to wrap up the show in the next few minutes, the idea also is that you can't, there is a limit to how much pain you should put yourself through. And I wasn't always good at that either. The physical pain to me was better than failing. So if I went to the gym and I was lifting a certain amount of weight and I said, maybe I want to get 10 reps with this. And I was at 9 and I knew that I couldn't even get the 10th. I had to try it. Even though I was pushing beyond what I could do, knowing that, because I thought to myself, well, at least you got to try it, because if you try it and you fail, it's better than not trying it. But it's tiring. And when I was a kid, I did a lot of that stuff. And it is, it's tiring, but I don't want the mental. And when I'm talking about pain, I'm not talking about pain that lasts for long periods of time. I mean, everybody who's an athlete has pain. No pain, no gain. It's just you have to be smart about how much pain you put yourself through. What's worth it? So this is a topic that I've thought about for a long time. And obviously, I remember that story about Mookie Wilson from 41, 42 years ago. But it's amazing to me how great, even my surgery. I think about when I get out of surgery, I would never have chosen to do that. Never, never, never. And I would never choose it now. But I remember being and I got video of it, of being in my room after I got out of surgery. And I think on the recording, I remember her saying this. My mother said, "Just, you're done. You're done. It's all over. You're done." And I was thinking to myself, yeah, it's over. And there was an ecstasy in the release, in the relief of knowing that something that had been hanging over my head, something that had been fingers around my throat, were gone. Yeah, I, of course, had other issues to deal with. It wasn't like, it was a one and done type of thing. There was a lot that had to change. But the point is, I never would have felt that ecstasy, that feeling of relief, had I not had that surgery and gone through the mental anguish. To me, the biggest pain is mental. Physical pain goes away. Mental pain, you relive a lot. That's why people have issues as they get older, that they remember things from their childhood. They remember things that they had to struggle through. And a lot of people will tell you, even if they beat an illness, that the emotional scars stay. And remember, I've said this many times, and it's true. If you're waiting for scars to heal, you're going to be waiting forever, because scars don't heal. Scars are the healing. When you get cut, that's a wound. When that wound heals, you wind up with a scar. So when people say, well, I got to wait for the scars to heal, you're never going to stop waiting. You're going to wait forever, because they're not. I guess the key, is to live with the scars. And that's the pain of illness. None of us get away with a life with no pain. I've heard people say you experience death once. No, you don't. You experience death many, many, many times. The loss of grandparents, the loss of parents, the loss of friends, cousins, aunts, uncles, and then your death. And if it's sudden, that's one thing. But if you know what's coming, you're going to mourn your own death. But maybe it makes it sweeter. Then you get share that pain with other people. It's not, again, not something that I would choose. Then maybe the solace is that as much as that's going to hurt and much as it does hurt, it also allows you to enjoy what you have with the people who are still here. Thank you very much for being here tonight. You as a whole, body, mind, and soul. I want to thank you for your comments, Joe and Rob. I really appreciate that. And hopefully you'll all visit us for other shows. This is such a great network, USA Global TV and Radio. Dr. Jacqueline has done an amazing job with this incredible platform. So join us for so many different shows. Join me every Monday night, 8 p.m., not a.m., p.m. And I'm looking forward to seeing you right back here next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.
Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio, for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring it to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV and Radio, and that's because of you, our loyal fan base all around the world in more than 60 countries. Together, we're making a difference because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming to over 60 countries. Voiceover, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Video production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging Sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.